Get wrecked, bitch.
What's up, guys? Records back at you with another video, and in today's video we got Hero Talk Episode 2, The Villain Underworld. So, as you guys read the title, and as I really just said, we're going to be talking about the underworld of My Hero Academia, and how the villain landscape really, how vast it is and how gigantic it is, and all the different contenders that make up the villain underworld of My Hero Academia. So, without further ado, I think we should start with the former Kingpin himself, All For One. And man, Horikoshi is like, his writing really shines when you bring All For One into the scenario and when you start talking about it, because like All For One's heyday, his prime, was when quirks first started manifesting. And you know, the way he assumed power was the people that didn't want quirks and that had like mutation quirks, I think they're called again, where they have like tails or spikes growing out of them. You know, he would take the quirk from them and give it to somebody who does have a quirk, who's either being like attacked on the way home from work by people who had a quirk. But the one rule he had was, hey, I did this for you. Now, if I'm ever in trouble, you have to do something for me. And you know, it's really like that simple thing is really how he amassed an army, and how his followers would start to follow his ideals. And he even says that at one point in Deku's dream, when we see the first One For All user, All For One's little brother, and them having a conversation. He's like, it's so beautiful. Like, I don't even have to do anything anymore. They carry out my will and my ideals of their own accord now. And it's just like, it's so slick, you know, for a guy who can take quirks and amass quirks and combine quirks and do all kinds of crazy things with quirks. That was really well played, you know, for him always wanting to be like in power. Like, it's really slick. Like, that's like some slick writing on Horikoshi's part, because it even says it in the manga, like, he brought order in a time of chaos. All For One's power at one point before All Might, before the Great Age of Heroes, was the only power. And you know, to a degree, in like a twisted way, like, I can kind of see All For One's like his vision, in the sense where like he really did restore order to the world. Because when quirks first manifested, there was no laws, there was no order. Like, it was literally chaos, and they say that in the manga. It's just like people were waking up with these abilities and just doing whatever the fuck they wanted to, basically. Because what were the cops gonna do? Stop you? Like, if you have some kind of crazy quirk, there's nothing you can do. But it was like, but if you defied All For One, he killed you. And you know, we get a shot of that in the manga as well. And it was really like this great, like his heyday, you know. He really had Japan in the palm of his hand, and it really like not oppressed, but like put everybody beneath him firmly, because there was nothing they could do against that sort of power. Like, his quirk by itself, he was like handpicking everybody with great quirks, taking those quirks for himself, and he still had his army of the people that served him who also had quirks. And it's just like, his force was absolute, overwhelming. And All For One was still developing. The quirk, I said All For One, One For All was still developing, going from user to user, you know, stockpiling that power, cultivating it from each wielder to each wielder. But now that brings us to our other group, the Yakuza, who were prominent before the Age of Quirks because they're gangsters. But when All For One came into power, it really overtook them, because they were just gangsters, like regular humans. So before that, they were prominent. And you know, that's where we get into Overhaul. After All For One's fall at the hands of All Might, you know, Overhaul goes to have a meeting with Shigaraki, And what they talk about is like who's gonna be the next kingpin. But at the time, Shigaraki really didn't have a plan. You know, he was like, hey, I'm gonna become the next kingpin because All For One is my sensei. But Overhaul, had such a brilliant plan. Like, the scope of it was really, it was dark and it was twisted, but it was really unique. And I feel like the Yakuza have a code first and foremost. Sorry, I'm stuttering over my words and such. Not, it's really late. But the Yakuza have a code. You know, that's what in their eyes separates them from common villains. Like, they don't want to be associated with villains. You know, they're gangsters. And Overhaul's plan was to create the bullets that erase the quirk factor completely, and to sell those to villains, bad guys, and then on the other hand have the serum that rewinds the time in oneself to get the quirk back, and sell that to the hero side, and completely monopolize the market on this plague and this cure to the plague, playing both sides masterfully. And that plan, if Pop wouldn't have shut Overhaul down, like, that plan would have put the Yakuza right back on top, because they would have the money, they would have the power, they would have the influence at that point to do whatever they wanted. But that plan solely depended on Eri, and Pop was like, no, bro, we're not gonna do this to a little girl. Like, what are humans to you in your eyes, Chisaki? And Chisaki, like, dude he's so cold and so calculated. When Pop got sick, it was like, okay. And like, in a twisted way, Chisaki was really doing that for Pop because he wanted to restore the respect and the prominence of the Yakuza. And Chisaki, like, he views everybody with quirks as sick, you know, because like there's a theory within the world of My Hero Academia that quirks were derived from rats. Like, they came through as like a plague, so to speak, like in our world, the Black Plague, how it started with rats and mice on ships and such not. And you know, he views everybody as sick, and he thinks that with this quirk erasing bullet, he can cure people, he can cure the world. And, you know, I really think that is such a dynamic view in opposition to the Liberation Army. Our next guys we're gonna talk about, Redestro, the politician, skeptic, all of them. What they are the anarchists, you know. They believe that quirks are a part of you and you shouldn't have to suppress a part of you. You should be free to use your quirk freely. Like how it was in the beginning of when quirks first began to manifest in the world of My Hero back in All For One's heyday. Yeah, All For One's heyday. And back then, you know, you were just free, but the problem was the people who didn't manifest quirks began to hate the people who did manifest quirks. And Redestro's mother was murdered by a group of those people. You know, he really harps on that. You know, that's really like a big defining moment for him and his character. The fact that his mother was murdered and all she wanted was a world that accepts her son, where he could grow up and use his quirk freely and just be himself. But she felt people hated him for who he was, just the quirk he was born with. He had no choice over that. And that's why they followed the teachings of Destro. But Destro eventually got taken down by the police, and then he killed himself in jail. So for Destro and the new Liberation Army call themselves the Children of Destro. And it's so fascinating, like, just the world Horikoshi has crafted for us in this series. And it's so, I feel like every side, every faction has their own conviction, has their own strengths, has their own struggles, which makes everybody so fascinating in my opinion. Because here you have Overhaul on one side, who views like quirks, people that have quirks, as sick, as a plague, as they need to be cured, they need my help. And here you have Redestro on the other side, who views quirks in the complete opposite. Like, this is who we are, this is a part of us. We shouldn't have laws, regulations on who we are. We should be free to use our natural God-given abilities to their fullest. Like, he genuinely wants to be free. And that brings us to our last faction, the new League of Villains, Shigaraki and the crew. Now these guys, they're unhappy with the way the world is, but in true Shigaraki fashion, he just wants to destroy it. Like, he is content destroying anything and everything he doesn't like, you know, and that's really his drive. Because through the entirety of the series, we've been seeing Shigaraki trying to find his motives, find what makes him want to achieve this goal, become the new Kingpin, become a worthy successor to the boss, the Don that was All for One. And recently in this My Villain Academia arc, we've gotten that. He just wants to destroy everything, and wants to essentially, really, like, once you destroy everything, the world is gonna start over from scratch, basically. And he will be the Kingpin. He will be the new absolute in this world. And it's pretty straightforward, but Shigaraki has been a very straightforward guy from the beginning. And you know, that's what's great about him. You know, he has his conviction now. He's like, yo, I'm gonna become a worthy successor for my master, and I'm gonna do things my way. And you know, even in the Overhaul arc, when Overhaul was trying to get the League of Villains to work with them, which was really for them, he was like, no, like, we do what we want to do, and we do what we want to do how we want to do it. And you know, I really respect that about Horikoshi's writing. You know, he's developing and evolving Shigaraki, but keeping Shigaraki truly true to the core of who he has been since the USJ attack. Like, a guy who doesn't give a fuck, who just wants to do whatever the fuck he feels like. And that's great, man. Like, all these different factions, the way that they all have, like, these dynamic and opposing views, and like, they all have such drive to them. You know, it's really a beautiful thing to watch. Well, to read, to watch, week to week, each season of My Hero Academia. But that's gonna do it for this episode of Hero Talk, guys. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, I really appreciate it. Leave a comment, you know. Let me know what you guys think about the world of My Hero. And let me know your thoughts, if you agreed with me or if you disagree with me, man. I've been Reezy. You guys just got wrecked. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Peace.